Hello there, Maverick Currency traders. This is Rob Reinhold, and check out that date. We are through the first quarter of the year. I guess there is one more trading day left on Sunday, but we are now looking forward to April. In this session, we're going to be going through what happened this week, some of the news. We'll take a look at the markets, and then as always, we're technical traders, so we're going to look at these charts. We're going to see if there's any scoring changes, and we're going to score all the currencies from +3 to -3. We're going to take those scores. We're going to pair up the very best setups for the week.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional Forex and crypto traders. Maverick Currencies is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional Forex and currency trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's get ready for next week.
So last week we saw that in the US, the S&P and the Dow Jones made new highs, new all-time highs. One of the things we've been talking about with our stock and options group is how we're moving into this mature bull market, where in a mature bull market, you don't get the big gains, you don't get the +8% returns in a month. You get the +2% returns for the month. And a lot of those wins are hard fought. And what I mean by that is you get lots of stagnation, consolidation, then you'll get a run for 2 days, and then you'll get another week or two of stagnation. I'll show you in the chart exactly what I'm talking about. This week we had the yen hit 34-year lows, and the Bank of Japan intervention is imminent. We talked about this all this week in our daily reviews, and we talked about how the yen is tough to trade right now. You want to be on the short side, but it's way too risky with this intervention here. So we're going to really just shy away from the yen whatsoever. We'll watch it and we'll see it as a circus act. But other than that, really not really any reasons to trade it. On Friday, we got the core PCE price index, and then Powell came out and spoke after that, and he said, inflation is doing exactly what we want. Now, those are some powerful words because as you can see here, the core price PCE index came in at 0.3%. The previous month was 0.5%. This is what they want, exactly what he said. Now, what Powell and the Federal Reserve have said, that if they get the data they want, they're looking to cut interest rates 3 times this year. I have been skeptical of that. I've been saying, hey, look, I don't think we get any cuts. It's starting to look like we might get a cut or two this year, and I'm going to have to go back on what I said at the first of the year. That's just what it's looking at right now. A couple more hot inflation prints might change that. That's what we're looking at right here, right now. If we take a look at what happened earlier in the week, we had the CPI for Australia come in a little bit lighter than expected. The Aussie really didn't do much with this. It's been strong, and it didn't really slow down all that much. We also had Canadian GDP absolutely crush it. We like the Canadian dollar starting about 2 weeks ago, and it definitely has moved higher. So the CAD remains one of our favorite currencies. Other than that, not a whole lot on this week. We are going into the first week of the month this week, which means we have tons and tons of economic data coming down the pipeline. Last week, as you can see, we had a very mild positive week. S&P up a little bit, VT up a little bit. Take a look at the movement outside of equities, and we're going to talk about how Forex really hasn't participated at all. Very low volatility in stocks and equities, very low volatility in Forex, but we're seeing other asset classes really pop off. I mean, take a look at the crypto market. Now look, most of that is Bitcoin Cash. We'll take a look at that here in a second. But gold up 3% for the week. That's a big move for gold. Oil up 3%. Taking it up above that 80 resistance it's been fighting with. Everything looks pretty good outside of those, again, low volatility things like equities and Forex. I really want to focus here on what I mean by a mature bull market. I want you to take a look at the moves we've seen. Big move up, followed by 10 days of crap, absolute crap. 1 day out of that base that we had set there, and then another 8 days of complete crap. Then big moves up, and you can see more days of just crap. This is what a mature bull market looks like. We are still going higher, but it is not the 2-week runs that we saw back in January and February. It is just a grind higher. And anyone who's trying to do any like swing trading where you're in for like 2 or 3 days, I mean, I'm telling you, there's just no 3-day moves here. I mean, I guess you could have bet on this one here, but there's no way to know it wasn't like this over here that just utterly failed, or this over here that utterly failed. Swing trading is a tough business right now in the equity markets. That's why we're telling our traders, you need to be about 2 or 3 weeks out on your trades right now if you want the technicals to work for you. If we take a look at what happened in the world of Forex, I just want to point out the numbers again. The best currency was the CAD, up 0.58%. The worst currency was a Swiss franc. On a good week in Forex trading, we have several currencies that are +1 or -1%. As you can see here, this is not a great week. I mean, dollar and yen were virtually flat. Pound, Aussie, Kiwi, virtually flat. Euro flat. CAD Swiss franc was the only trade, and that was the only trade I made last week, and it was moderately profitable. That's it, moderately profitable in Forex. I don't see Forex changing until we see a difference in the equity markets. I think equity markets and Forex is going to track pretty well. We come over here to the crypto. Crypto looks really great here. Now look, I am like 90% Forex trader, 10% crypto, but that 10% of the time, I love it because I go to crypto when there's not enough movement in Forex to make it justifiable for me to make some trades. The big mover was Bitcoin Cash. I've talked about Bitcoin Cash. I think it's a very tough trade. It goes crazy for like 1 or 2 days, and then it mellows out and goes down. I still like playing in the less crazy stuff. As you can see, Bitcoin and Ethereum still had up weeks, not monster weeks. Litecoin that I've liked has actually put in a very nice week of 18%. So let's take all of these numbers here and let's go in and look at some actual scores here. Now with the equity market, we are at a +3. There's no question about it. We are above the 20-day moving average, above the 50-day moving average, and those are both sloping higher. That's a no-brainer. I want to come over here to some other asset classes. This is the chart on gold. Now I've really liked gold here. I've really liked the metals. And you can see just a super breakout on Friday of a, let's call it a 3 or 4 week base off of this monster run here that we had. Outside of Forex, everything looks really bullish here. We come over here to crypto. I want to just show you these candles. I want to focus on these candles because we had this pullback, and all of a sudden, over the last like 7 days, we've had a steady inflow of money into cryptos. Whenever the stock market looks like this, I love this. As a young trader, I hated it because I thought, oh, I already missed the move. I already missed it. Take a look back in the past. When you get these kind of candles, so let's just take a look at these candles here. They look very similar to these candles here. And what you get is you get this eventual short squeeze. You get this nice pop to the upside. To me, this is really developing nicely. These candles are really nice. One of the things I love to see is we don't see any new lows below prior day's low. Every day is an up day. What that means is there's much more money coming into the market than's coming out of the market. It's a very, very bullish sign. So I do like cryptos as a basket, and we'll take a look at some individual crypto plays. This week, we do have some pretty substantial data here. Monday, we got the ISM number out of the US. Tuesday, we've got Germany CPI. Then we go here to Swiss CPI. Now, this is the one I want to talk about because the Swiss National Bank surprisingly cut interest rates. They were the first ones to cut interest rates. All of the central banks have been talking about, backing off of their high interest rate policies now that inflation has been curbed. The Swiss National Bank, they were the first to shoot. They're like, hey, we're ready. Let's go right now. If this number comes out hot, they may have to take that back. They might have to say, hey, you know what? We went a little early. We're going to have to take that back because all the other central banks are saying, we're not ready yet. We need to see a couple more months of data. The S&P just said, let's do it right now, which again, I love, but if that inflation number pops back up, we're definitely going to see some retracement here. But the S&P, we have liked the Swiss franc short quite a bit. We continue to like the Swiss franc short. It's one of the only Forex trades that's actually moving out there. And then on Friday, we have the Canadian and the US payrolls report. We will be meeting live for this. So Maverick traders, come join us live. We'll be trading this live and look for a nice trade here on the US dollar here or the Canadian dollar for the employment report. So this week, we've got bullish equity markets. We have a few central bank speeches. That's it. And really, we've got US and Canadian employment reports that are going to be the important numbers this week. Let's go ahead and take a look at all the currencies. Let's look at them one by one. Let's score the trend score and velocity score and see what looks the best to trade this week. As I said most of the time, I am looking at Forex, not at crypto, but when Forex is unappealing as it is right now, I love to look into the crypto space. I love to have multiple asset classes to trade. So when one is not acting the way that is conducive to my trading strategies, I can jump other places and find it. Let's take a look at Bitcoin here. Now Bitcoin, we had this pullback. We had this pullback here and we had a little bit of a bounce, but take a look at this bounce. It is really flamed out here. Now, when I say flamed out, I just basically mean consolidation. So a lot of times when we get a bull pullback, we get this pullback and then we get this new high and we call this a V bottom. You can see why we call it a V bottom. Well, sometimes you don't get the V bottom. Sometimes you get what we call the W bottom, where it comes back and it just is messy here and then eventually breaks up to the upside. There is nothing in this chart that says bearish. Everything in the chart says bullish. And frankly, when you take a look down here at the velocity score, this is a beautiful base pattern. This is just a beautiful base pattern. I'm looking at Bitcoin saying it's just a matter of time until we break out. But I don't know when it's going to happen. But likely it's going to be a breakout to the upside. So I do like Bitcoin here, but I just don't think it's a great trade early in the week. I'd much rather get into it later in the week. Bitcoin Cash is running. There's no question this is running. And I talked to last week, I said, look, if you're going to get into a trade, it's Bitcoin Cash. It's a crazy trade. And again, these things have big moves in 1 or 2 days and then races, but the momentum is clearly there. If you're looking for a short-term trade, Bitcoin Cash looks better than the rest. No question about it. We got a +3 and a +2. Everything's working right now in Bitcoin Cash. Taking a look at Ethereum, I want to just point out just the differences between what we saw in Ethereum and Bitcoin. So Bitcoin bounced and then came back up and then was like doing a base. Take a look. We didn't bounce back up. We did not have a bounce on Bitcoin. We basically had a fall, like maybe 1 day. Like this 1 day was a little bit of recovery. But since then, the buyers and sellers have been very equal here. I actually do not like Ethereum here for a trade to the upside. I am much more interested in other currencies than Bitcoin, than Ethereum, because it's not acting well. And if you want to say, well, what is acting well? Well, here we are. Look at this. We have a pullback. We had a recovery. And then we had just a couple day base, just like Bitcoin is doing, and then a breakout. So I much prefer both Bitcoin and Litecoin to what's going on in Ethereum. I think these are going to be the best places to be. This is a +3 on both the trend score and the velocity score. Definitely looking like it wants to continue to run. So short term, if I'm looking at, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday next week, Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin jump to the top of the list. If I'm looking at later in the week, I want to see that Bitcoin base a little bit, break out to the upside. I think that is a great time to take a look at fresh new all-time highs in the cryptos. As you can tell, I'm much more excited about the cryptos than I am about Forex. I'm going to run through Forex because it's very important for you to stay involved in what's happening in the markets. Even though there may not be great trades, it's going to set you up for next week, 2 weeks down the road, 3 weeks down the road. Let's talk about dollar. So we had news on the dollar. You can see the dollar has had a nice little run here. and the dollar will not go down. Even with this core PCE price index that we got on Friday, the dollar didn't go down. Now look, I want to bet against the dollar. Intellectually, if I would tell you all the things I've been reading and talking about, I want to be short the dollar. But as a technical trader, I don't want to be short the dollar. I want to be long dollar. And it's crazy to say that because, like I said, as an intellectual person who reads a lot of stuff and looks at things and, inflation's coming down, that should not be bullish dollar. That should be bearish dollar. The dollar says, I don't care. I don't care. I'm not crazy about the dollar, but the only trade I'm looking at on dollar is to the long side. That doesn't mean I'm looking to take a dollar long. I'm saying that if I was forced to take a trade, it would have to be on the long side. There is no short case to be made for dollar right now. None whatsoever. It's at a +3. And look at that base. That base is beautiful. Beautiful. I fully expect the dollar to run higher, and I fully expect me to be a spectator of that. That's fine because I have other currencies that look better than dollar. Yen, I've been waiting for this yen. I've been looking at this yen, saying once this has a bear rally pattern. So again, big fall down, rallies back up. Next move should be lower. The problem is the Bank of Japan is in play. I don't think you can short the yen on any weakness, because I think with any serious weakness, the Bank of Japan is going to come in. And when people have that expectation, like I do, the Japanese yen stays stronger than it normally should have. And because of that, it makes the Bank of Japan intervention less likely. Isn't that funny? It's the chicken and the egg kind of thing. The Bank of Japan will intervene if it gets weaker. People believe that the Bank of Japan is going to intervene so they don't sell yen, they buy yen, and it doesn't get weaker. As you can see, this is a difficult trade here. I'm just looking to avoid yen altogether and say, you know what? I'm going to play elsewhere. And speaking of playing elsewhere, this is where the only really good play in currencies have been, is in short Swiss franc. Nice bases, they fall down. They have a little bounce up for a day, fall down. We're getting a nice little rally here. For me, Swiss franc is pretty much the only play I'm looking at in the currency space. The problem is, right now it's on a bounce. Friday's candle is telling us that it's potentially over, but until it's over, I need to just be cautious and say, okay, Swiss franc is on a bounce right now. I'm going to wait for it to roll over and die. The euro has been very nice and strong, but the problem is, to me, it's a tough trade because yes, we got this pullback here. We got this run over here. We're getting this pullback here again. Yes, I want to buy euro. Euro is still on my list of currencies to buy. But when I take a look at its velocity score, where it is right now, it's a -2. I need that to turn around. I need the short-term picture to become bullish, because right now the short-term picture is bearish euro. It's on a pullback. And we've seen that on a couple of currencies here already, that things look strong on a long-term chart, but look a little bit weaker on a short-term chart. This is another one that is doing just that, the same thing. On a trend score, hey, pound looks great. But when I take a look at it on a velocity score, it's just not giving me enough reason to buy it. For me, yes, I like pound, but the question is always timing. When is the timing to get in? It's not the last 2 days of this week. It's not the first part of next week. I don't know when it is. And because of that, I'm looking at this saying, this is a tough trade. And let me go see if I can find something easier. And then I come over here to the CAD and it's like, oh, thank you very much. I did find something easier. We have a base of about 4 or 5 days. We broke out on Thursday. Friday, we didn't have any follow through. But for me, this one's ticking all the boxes here. All the boxes. And this velocity score should be a little higher because we are, we ticked below the parabolic SAR, but we're still having an upward sloping EMA. Yeah, the trend in the RSI is still good. This is more likely a +1 here on CAD. So for me, CAD is still pretty much the only currency I want to go long, and Swiss franc is the only currency I want to go short. I come over here to the Aussie. Aussie is pulling back, and this is a really nice pullback. We broke out. We had a really nice controlled pullback. I just need to see the Aussie turn. If the Aussie can turn, I can get long the Aussie as well. But until that happens, I just have to realize that it's not there yet. And the poor Kiwi. The Kiwi has been another currency along with the Swiss franc that has been trending. It's been trending lower. Bases, breakdowns, bases, breakdowns. Look, there's no reason to think the Kiwi is automatically going to become a great currency. There's no reason. But taking a look at this pattern, we typically get 1 day down out of these bases and then more bases. I think the Kiwi is probably a couple of days off as well for a new entry. If we stack up all of the trend scores, here's the frustrating thing about this market. A lot of times we get where everything's bottled up in here, where nothing's trending. Right now, things are clearly trending. We've got Euro, dollar, pound, CAD, Aussie, all trending higher. Litecoin, Bitcoin looking great. And we've got two currencies, Kiwi and Swiss franc, clearly trending to the downside. When we look at the longer term trend score, it's pretty clear. Then we come in here and say, okay, well, what about now? I need to make a trade now. What's the velocity like? And you can see we've got a whole bunch of stuff that is just not moving. If you were to remove all of these currencies here from +1 and -1 and say, oh, this is what I'm trading this week, you can see that you can't even make a Forex trade. You literally can't make a Forex trade because the only thing you have is Euro right now that is short term a -2. Long term, it's a +2, but short term, it's a -2. But if you're saying, I can't go long or short anything unless it's a +2 or -2 or greater, you can see that there is no setup here on Forex. There is on crypto. So let's take a look at this. And then I am going to take a look at the only pair that I like. It's the only pair I liked on Wednesday when I did the end of day video. It's CAD Swiss franc. Right now, Swiss franc is having a bounce. I like CAD on the trend score. Swiss franc is -3 on the trend score. This is the pair I like, so it's just a matter of timing. Just a matter of waiting for the timing for when that Swiss franc has its bounce and falls apart. So I'm going to be looking specifically at Litecoin and CAD Swiss franc. Let's go ahead and jump into those crosses right here, right now. Would having more trading capital help you meet your trading goals? Maverick Currencies is the oldest US-based Forex and crypto prop firm. We fund traders just like you with 5- and 6-figure accounts where you keep 70 to 80% of profits. Click the apply link on the top right of this video to start the process. This will take you to a 4-minute video that explains the trader position, and you can read a list of FAQs that answer pretty much all the basic questions you have. After that, if you're interested, fill out an application, and then you'll watch the full-length recruiting video and schedule an interview with our recruiters. Are you our next trader? So here is the Litecoin chart. This is my favorite crypto chart right now. If you take a look at what it's doing here, I want to just point out some levels here. We had this big pullback and we had a long period. We had like 6 or 7 months of just trading below the $80 level. We broke out and you can see we ran all the way up to this 104 area. And you can see we have broken above that 104 area and we have to take a look at this next resistance at 115. There is some decent opportunity in here from 107 to 115. I mean, 8 points, that's about a 7% run from here. Look, yes, this is a big candle. It's always a little bit of a worry of getting in after something's gone up 14% in a day. Look, I get that. I understand that. So if you are worried about timing, then it's just a matter of, hey, you know what? I'm going to let this thing pull back. I'm going to let this thing base, but I want to be a buyer here. 102 Again, it's going to be tough until we get a pullback or a base to see where our actual entry is. But to me, this thing has broken out of this 105. What was resistance should become support. I'm thinking a pullback to the 105. I am licking my chops. Licking my chops saying that is the entry point I want to take a look at. If we base for a bit, if we can put in a couple candles of basing and then we break out of this 108 area, I'll be a buyer as well. But for me, this is my favorite trade here, Litecoin. I don't trade Litecoin much. I only trade it when it is clearly the best, but I do like it here. I do like Litecoin. Now, Litecoin is at the first of the week. Bitcoin is going to be a little bit later in the week. Take a look at, again, longer term chart. Let me just go to a daily chart here. We had a run up, a base, run up, a base, run up, pullback, run up, bigger pullback. This last 5 days is just telling me it's building. It's building and building and building. It's ready to go. There's nothing in this chart telling me to be bearish. It's all telling me it's just building and ready to go. For me, I think this one does break out later in the week, and I do think we make a new all-time high. 75,000 is likely the short-term target on this. There's some decent profit in there, 5,000 points. That's about, it's about 6 or 7%. So a little bit less than Litecoin. For me, I like this. I like this base here. I think Bitcoin is a decent trade here as well. In the world of Forex, CAD Swiss franc is the only thing I'm interested in. It was the only thing I was interested in this week. And you can see the chart pattern looks fantastic here. We've got a run up, a base, run up. We're basing right now. We're basing. The question is, where do you get in? Let's take a look at if there's a pullback. If there's a pullback, you can see that there's some really nice support here at what was resistance at 66.40. So 66.40 to me, it's a great place to look to be a buyer on this. But we also have some upside resistance up here at 66.70. You can see classic high base. Classic high base. I think you either want to be a buyer at 66.40 if it's coming down there and bouncing. Maybe you pick it up at 66.50 where you're in a comfortable cost basis for it if it does break higher. Or you can be hanging out there at 66.75 waiting for it to break higher. I think these are the only trades that make a lot of sense. It is not a wide open market like it is a lot of times where there's tons of trade setups. I think you need to be very, very selective here on what you're looking at. To wrap this up, not a ton of opportunity in Forex. Cryptos, commodities, if you are playing in the metals or anything like that, they look much, much better here. It's all about momentum. As a directional trader, I always say you're like a moth to flame. You're trying to find where the flame is. Right now, there's not flame in Forex. Flame is in cryptos, commodities. Those things are looking much better. Now, here's a great thing. Everything's cyclical. At some point, those will die down and Forex is going to become playable again, and we'll play it when that happens. But until then, we got to focus on where the velocity is. Where's the velocity right now? It's in some of the cryptos and maybe CAD Swiss franc. Other than that, it should be a pretty quiet week until Friday when we get the employment report. Then we could see some breakouts on some of the larger currencies. Thanks for joining, everyone. Have a great holiday weekend. Happy Good Friday to everybody. Happy Easter to everyone. Everyone take care. Goodbye.